Hello and welcome to Under Protest, a show we hope becomes a regular feature here on the OSR channel. Without further ado, let's examine our first questionable incident. In this opening clip, we'll be focusing on the number 14 and the number 8 cars. Before we get to the incident itself, let's take a look at what may have led up to it. Initially, I believed this first exchange was the catalyst. However, after reviewing more of the race, I discovered another incident that appears to be a more likely trigger for the alleged retaliation. It's also possible that what followed was the result of both incidents combined. So let's roll the alleged retaliation footage and you decide. This incident, of course, takes place after the checkered flag has already fallen. Whether that makes it better or worse is up for debate. The driver of the number 8 car comes to a stop on the straightaway, apparently preparing to exit the session. Moments later, the number 14 car slows dramatically, then makes a deliberate move down the track and collides with the stationary number 8 car. My opinion, this looks like a clear-cut case of retaliation. The actions of the number 14 driver appear intentional, and it's difficult to view the contact as accidental given the circumstances. But that's just my take. What do you think about it? Was the retaliation worthy of a protest, or is there some other explanation for what happened? Let me know in the comments below. This one seems pretty straightforward. An incident sends the driver into the infield grass, and then he pulls back onto the racing surface under power and practically comes to a complete stop. And the likely objective here is to trigger a caution before the leaders reach him to avoid going a lap down. It didn't work. So what's your verdict? Is this protest worthy, or is this just a driver trying to catch a break? Share your opinion in the comments below. While we're on the subject, here's another example of the same issue. The driver has a problem and knows he's well off the pace. With the leaders closing in, he spins the car around and comes to a complete stop on the racing surface, bringing out an unnecessary caution and disrupting the race for everyone still battling for position. Was this a legitimate mistake or a deliberate attempt to get a yellow flag? Would you file a protest? Leave your opinion in the comments below. Our next incident is a little more serious than simply stopping on the racing surface. It begins in familiar fashion, with the driver ending up in the infield grass. From there, however, things take a turn for the worse. The driver pulls back onto the track, heading in the wrong direction, then continues across the racing surface perpendicular to oncoming traffic. The result is an absolutely massive collision that likely ends the race for both drivers involved. Incidents like this are frustrating because they're entirely avoidable. Every driver on the track is trusting the other drivers to exercise at least a basic level of sanity and judgment. In this case, that trust appears to have been badly misplaced. I think this one speaks for itself, but I'm interested to hear what you think. Is this an obvious protest, or do you see it differently? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. This next incident isn't quite as clear-cut as some of the others. Now keep an eye on the number 5 and number 10 cars. Exiting turn 2, the number 5 car appears to have some trouble as he hits the wall out there, and then he bounces down into the number 10 car. After the contact, the driver of number 5 seems convinced that the number 10 was at fault. So a corner later, of course, things escalate. The number 5 enters low, then appears to turn up into the number 10, sending him up into the famous shelf there at Lucas Oil Speedway. And in the process, the number 5 slams the wall as well and may have actually gotten the worst of the exchange. Sometimes a cockpit view can provide additional context. So let's take another look from inside the number 5 car.
Really?
After watching it from the driver's perspective, my opinion doesn't really change. In fact, the way he positions the car on corner entry and the line he takes through the turn almost make it look premeditated. And I use the term almost very loosely. The setup appears less like a driver trying to make the corner and more like a driver trying to make contact. It's difficult to watch this sequence and not wonder whether this was a deliberate retaliation attempt. The execution certainly looks practiced, which raises an interesting question. Has he done this before? Has he practiced this? You decide. The question is whether this was retaliation or simply a racing incident that got out of hand. Could it have been an accident? Take a look at the evidence and let me know what you think in the comments. In the following clips, we have 3 separate instances of a driver who apparently thinks it's a good idea to pull directly across the racing surface in front of oncoming traffic. Whether it's a question of judgment, awareness, or something stronger than coffee in the driver's system, I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is that behavior like this has no place on a multiplayer racing platform. The risk to other drivers is obvious and the outcome is usually predictable. So what's your verdict? Is this just harmless stupidity and a misguided attempt at fun? Is it merely annoying, or does it cross the line into intentional wrecking? Maybe all of the above. I don't know. Take a look at the clips and let me know what you think in the comments. Our next clip is an interesting one. We're watching car number 3 and car number 4 in this dirt modified race. As the cars exit turn 2 at Eldora, the number 4 car drifts up the track while the number 3 car is running the outside line next to the wall. Number 4 makes contact with number 3, and moments later, the number 3 car brushes the wall. But let's take a look at the same incident from another angle. From this view, you can see that the contact itself appears fairly minor, and the question is whether it was simply a driver running out of room, creating a racing incident, or a deliberate move designed to slow the number 3 car and force him out of the preferred groove. So what's your take? Was it just hard racing? Was it an intentional maneuver to gain an advantage? Does it rise to the level of a protestable offense, or is it simply one of those gray area incidents that happen in dirt racing? Watch the clip and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Interestingly, the very next incident involves the same 2 drivers who somehow manage to find each other again 1 corner later. Funny how that happens sometimes. This time it's the number 3 car making the move. He enters the turn low with plenty of speed. He takes what many dirt racers would recognize as the classic dump line, driving up the track toward the number 4 car. The contact is enough to unsettle the number 4 and get him loose, but not enough to spin him out or completely take him out of contention. Now, the question is whether this was simply aggressive racing or an attempted payback for the earlier contact between these 2 drivers. Personally, I think the replay speaks for itself. But what do you think? Was this move justified? Was it retaliation? And even if it was retaliation, is there ever a situation where retaliation on the racetrack is acceptable? Watch the clip and let me know what you think in the comments. And that brings us to the end of the first installment of Under Protest. We've looked at intentional wrecks, questionable driving decisions, and a few incidents that live in that gray area where reasonable racers can disagree. After all, if every protest were obvious, there wouldn't be much to debate. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and follow us on Rumble or subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss future episodes. We plan to bring you plenty more protest, controversies, and racing incidents to dissect in the weeks ahead. Thank you for watching, thanks for sharing your opinions, and until next time, keep it clean, keep it competitive, and try not to end up featured on Under Protest. See you soon.